I think this comes down to what is maybe a fundamental assertion about the life cycle of software. And I think there were some that have the belief that there should only ever be one major version, and you should get your API right the first time, and it should be very, very exceptional that you will ever need to release a new major version going forward. And so I think a side effect of that belief was that the V0, V1 versions were omitted from the name itself to make it easy. We expect you to only ever have to get to V1. V0 is your development phase, V1 is when you hit stable. And so to make it harder in some ways to release new major versions, they added this as a requirement to the later versions. You had to add this extra label to the name. Your consumers had to add it to all of their files. It was sort of a barrier to make it more challenging to introduce breaking changes and then to signal those breaking changes via semantic versioning.
So when you say that they added it to make it harder, was it added specifically for that reason, or was that a side effect of some other goals that they had?
I mean, I think in some ways it's a side effect, right? But I think it's also, there's been folks who've explicitly communicated their desire is to not have it be very easy to make breaking changes, right? To add some hurdles for folks to overcome to get to that point because it will impact their consumers. I think there was the idea of, hey, if everything is going to be V0, V1, why make everyone include that in their string? It's sort of redundant. But I think that creates some cognitive burdens on folks to know, am I getting V0? Am I getting V1? If I need to roam and ride in between those two versions, it isn't as clear where in other versions you see that being promoted. And so in some ways, it might be better if that was consistently used across the board than having these special cases where V0, V1 are special, and V2 then beyond requires that explicit demarcation in the name.